Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. It is Monday, December the 15th. I know we got a full chat. Everybody else filing in. Greatly appreciate everybody jumping in here to talk some Packers this evening. Obviously, tough loss yesterday against the Denver Broncos. You lose by 8 points on the road to arguably the best team in the league. Injuries happen. We're going to kind of recap some of that tonight. There's a lot to cover, really, but a lot of short segments. We'll be able to go in rapid fashion, I would imagine. I know if you guys were watching the show earlier today, we tried to bring you all of the injury updates in real time. That way we could just kind of stay on top of everything as the news broke. And I think we've got a couple other pieces to the injury puzzle to kind of put in place to give everybody an idea of what's going on there. We're going to talk Micah Parsons, Christian Watson, Zach Tom, Jaden Reed, Evan Williams, Nate Hobbs, and Josh Jacobs, and what it may or may not mean for the Chicago Bears game coming up on Saturday. So we'll hit the injury updates real quick. We'll talk about playoff chances real fast, as I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised by the percentage in which the Packers have a chance of making the playoffs still. And then we're going to hit the PFF offensive grades from that game against the Denver Broncos. Then we'll switch gears, hit the defensive grades from the Denver Broncos game as well. Just talk about which players seemed to grade out good, which players maybe didn't, and moving forward, what might be the answers for filling some of these voids in terms of the spots that are going to be open with the injuries. But before we get into all that, if you would, let's do that YouTube stuff. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans like you talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit subscribe and click the bell icon so you know when we go live anytime here randomly throughout the days and weeks to come. So I see the chat is already on fire. Appreciate everybody jumping in here. We got the usual suspects. We got Joseph in the house. We got Not So Cool. Not So Cool says our season's over. And I had to hit him back with the, you okay, cool? Listen, but there's a lot of football left, man. I know it doesn't look ideal right now. But again, man, every team has to deal with this. You know, there was a point where the Bears were real banged up with their defense, right? The Lions, same thing. The Lions continue to go out there. I know they lost yesterday again, but man, they've had to deal with a lot of injuries, right? This is a part of the league. This is a part of the NFL. You know, it sucks when you lose a player like Micah Parsons, obviously, and potentially Christian Watson and some of the other. You know, Zach Tom is one that I feel like not enough people are talking about, right? That injury, but that's the reality of the National Football League on a daily basis, really. I mean, you know how it is. You'd be looking like, hey, everything's all perfect in the world, and you get one injury report from a practice, and next thing you know, you're down one of your superstars, right? It's the downside to paying a player like we paid Micah. You know, you could take the money that you pay Micah, and you could probably get two good players, maybe even three above average players to stabilize your roster a little bit. But again, you get a chance to go get Micah Parsons. It's a generational talent. You know, everybody comparing him in terms of production to people like Reggie White, players like that. Those are the guys that are true difference makers, right? You're willing to overpay for great, not overpay for good. But I understand your frustration. I get it, man. It's just a part of the game. Jeffrey Silky in here says, we're going to beat the Bears on Saturday. Williams won't be as lucky on Saturday as he has been. He has been getting away with some bad throws. I think that's a fair assessment, Jeff. The way I see this game right now, if I had to pick right now, you guys know how I do this. If I had to bet the farm one way or the other, I'd probably think the Bears have the edge in this one. It hurts me to say that, but they have gotten healthier and they're creating some momentum. I feel like we're a couple of weeks, maybe a week or two away from potentially creating some momentum as guys continue to get healthier and as the season rolls along. I love your optimism. I hope you're right. And you could very well be right. I think this game could still come down to a single possession, a single score. I do believe that. So love it, man. I hope you're right there. I do. Again, I think I have a hard time believing that the Packers are going to sweep the entire NFC North, win every North game. I hope I'm wrong there. If I had to pick a game where you go, okay, you probably split. I like our chances beating the Vikings in the last week of the season. as opposed to the Bears this week with all the injuries. Because again, I'm looking at it probably from a different perspective than you, Jeff. I think many people want the Packers, hey, look, if you could play, get them out there, get them out there. And I'm kind of looking at it like, you know what? If there's any lingering effects from the injuries you just sustained in that bloodbath that was that National Football League game there yesterday against the Denver Broncos, I would say let's play it conservative against the Bears, hold people out, and kind of put our best foot forward against Baltimore and then Minnesota. That's kind of how I see it. And I'm sure there's many fans that would disagree with that because, boy, it would be sweet, wouldn't it, just to shut the Bears fans up and go out there and sweep them on the year. So I get where you're coming from, man, for sure. All right, let's waste no time. Let's jump into what we're going to cover tonight. Listen, some of this stuff we covered earlier, I'm going to go rapid fire so it's not redundant. I know there's some people that are tuning in right now that weren't on the show earlier today or tuning into the show earlier today. So we're just going to hit it in rapid fashion. Micah Parsons, let's start there, okay? He put the tweet out, September, with an exclamation point, the salute emoji, and the lion emoji, okay? So, and obviously the picture of the battered lion there with the scarred eye, the scars on the nose and everything. We talked about this earlier. So Micah Parsons is aiming to return next year in September. It was confirmed. I know Jordan Schultz was the first tweet I seen earlier today. Shout out to him. That it is a torn ACL and he's done for the year. No surprise there. It's what we expected, right? So Micah Parsons, injury update there. Probably October next year, but who knows, man? It could be September. I wouldn't rule it out. Micah's a beast. So there's your update on Micah Parsons. Oh, that's scary right there, right? Let's try to get that back under control. All right, so next update, Christian Watson. Ian Rappaport tweeted this out. This was great news. We put a video out on this earlier today. Packers standout wide receiver Christian Watson, who went down yesterday holding his shoulder, did not suffer a major injury, sources say. So positive injury news on a bad day. One of Green Bay's most explosive weapons. The offense thrives while he's on the field, an essential piece. So, again, what do we make of this? To the best of my knowledge, trying to comb through all the information that's been released on the internet, I feel comfortable saying that Watson is day-to-day or what some would refer to as week-to-week, right? What does that mean? He could go this Saturday, possibly. I think it's possible against the Bears. I think it's unlikely he goes. So if it was a playoff game, based off of what I'm hearing, and I could be completely wrong. Again, there's no like official, here is the diagnosis, here's what's going on, here's how long he'll be out, right? But based off of what I'm kind of just feeling out there, if it was a playoff game, season on the line, Watson will probably be out there in a limited fashion. I don't know, full-time, I don't know. But I kind of feel like there's a chance he misses Saturday and he will be back next week if everything goes as planned. That's what it feels like there. So we got Tim joining us now. Tim, we're just running through all the injury updates here, man. We talked about Parsons being out, looking like he's targeting September of next year. It may be October, but early next year. And then Christian Watson, man, am I wrong? Are you reading this a different way? It kind of feels like Christian Watson might play this Saturday. Or do you think it's something that we're going to look up and go, no, he's out for 2 to 3 weeks? What do you think on here, man?
My gut's telling me there's a possibility he plays on Saturday. That's what I'm thinking, with it not being a major injury. I think it's day to day. I think on the safe side, maybe a week or two, but there's still a chance. You're telling me there's a chance. We're going to need all hands on deck against the Bears down in Chi-Town. So, and Scoot, right? I mean, look at the end of last year. I mean, he wanted to go in a game that we didn't really need against the Bears and ended up ending his season. So I think if he feels like he can play, he's going to want to go. I think it's going to be up to the staff and the team ultimately to figure out what they want to do. But I'm with you, Clay. I would err on the side of caution if he needs to miss a week so that he can be 100% or as close to it as he can be for the Baltimore Ravens at Lambeau. I'm down with letting him sit out. But to me, it looks like he's day to day until we hear otherwise.
Yeah. And one of the things that I did not have prepared, I've got AI searching the internet right now to see if we can get a little information on it. I did not put on the list, but I'm glad it got brought up. Was Joseph in the chat said, what about Josh Wiley? Right. And it sounds like he left with a concussion in the first half. Right. So to the best of my knowledge, Joseph, what that would end up being is obviously concussion protocol. So it's still too early. It's be one of those things that they'll have to get him in concussion program. Now, it being a short week, chips are kind of stacked against you a little bit, right? So, but we know Wiley too, man. He's a tough SOB. If he can go, he'll go. So I'm glad you bring that up though, because that's one that I overlooked for sure. And I think key piece, Tim, Josh Wiley's been he's been very underrated as a Packer. I feel like, man, he's feeling a lot of wearing a lot of hats, with some of the SIF blocking and some of the leaks and things like that.
I agree 100%. I mean, since Tuck Norris went down, Wiley really stepped up, and Fitzpatrick has stepped up for that matter, and Musgrave as well. But when you look at the tight end room, if there's no Josh Wiley available, what are we looking at beyond Musgrave and Fitzpatrick in that tight end room? So, if he's in the protocol, he's in the protocol. It's not really up to him. But I'm with you, Clay. He's tough as nails, and he's a guy, if he passes the test, he's going to want to go. And hopefully he's available because we're going to need it.
Yeah. And 2-0 for this says concussion from getting hit low. I remember them saying on the telecast, unless they got it wrong, it was a concussion, was what was reported. Just combing through AI, this is the update. It said latest updates on Green Bay Packers tied in Josh Wiley's injury from yesterday. Loss to the Broncos indicate he suffered a concussion in the first half, possibly a crown of the helmet hit, and was ruled out for the remainder of the game. He has entered the NFL's concussion protocol and cannot return until cleared, with the potential to miss Saturday's game against the Bears due to the short week, though concussions typically don't sideline players for extended periods. No further diagnostic details or specific timeline beyond the protocol have been reported yet. So it looks like AI heard the same thing I heard there, that it was a concussion. So, and I know what you mean, man. It was kind of a weird, the dude kind of submarined in, but I think he still was able to hit the helmet.
I think he clipped him helmet to helmet just barely on that play. I know what he's talking about, though. I remember that. It looked like he shot low, and you were thinking knee or thigh or something like that, but I think there was some contact to the head there on that hit.
Yeah, definitely. Sanguine Camper says playoffs. The Packers are finished for 2025 and 2026. Stop deluding yourselves, bub. You might want to look up. We got an 89% chance of making the playoffs right now. So good luck with that, man. Appreciate you swinging through, though. Chester Marco, Sanguine Camper. That's not very sanguine. So there you go. All right. So we got the let's move on to Zach Tom here. This one I feel like is huge, Tim, because again, the offensive line to me is a bigger issue. I am more concerned about Zach Tom missing than Micah Parsons in the short term, because it's like, all right, if you're going to keep Jordan Love upright, you got some opponents coming up that it's like, yeah, it would be great to have Micah Parsons. He's awesome and all that, right? When you get in the playoffs, it would be huge. But I just kind of feel like right now, man, the offensive line, the boat's sinking there, right? With the edge rushers, you may be getting Brenton Cox Jr. back, LVN's back now. You get a lot more bodies, and not just bodies, but above average to good players, as opposed to if Zach Tom's out, man, he was the only really bright light on the offensive line here lately. So if he's out, that's going to be tough. Here is what AI combed through and found. It says the latest updates on Green Bay Packers right tackle Zach Tom's knee injury from yesterday's loss indicate that he avoided any structural damage and is not expected to face a long-term issue. All right. He exited the game in the second quarter after getting hurt on a play involving Josh Jacobs' touchdown reception. He was replaced by Darian Kennard. Head coach Matt LaFleur has stated uncertainty around the exact recovery timeline, which could range from 1 to 3 weeks, and Tom is unlikely to suit up for Saturday's game against the Chicago Bears, given the quick turnaround. It's unclear at this point if he'll miss additional time beyond that. So it sounds like, Tim, he's probably not going to go on IR. That would say 4 weeks, right? So it's probably going to be somewhere between 1 to 3 weeks. If he's not 100%, don't put him out there on Saturday. That's the way I see that. And again, there's probably a lot of fans that would disagree with that. However, what do you think about Zach Tom? There anything you want to add to that, man?
We dodged a bullet, right? I mean, we're talking about him not even going to IR, which is a good thing. And again, same sentiment. If it means holding him out a week or two to have him for the playoffs, I'm down. Let's go. Never underestimate the Chicago Bears' ability to pee down their own leg in their own building in a big game. So if we can get past Chicago without Zach Tom, I don't think we need to risk it, but there is some debate whether or not we can actually do that. But bottom line, it's not over with for him. Just like we found out with Scoot, right? His season's not over day to day. But yeah, obviously Zach Tom is the single best offensive lineman that we have on this roster. And, if him sitting a week means we get him for 2 or 3 games or 4 games down the stretch, I say sit him,
Yeah, Definitely. So another injury to keep an eye on. I don't have a definitive answer on this. I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow when we get our first injury report. I think we'll get it a day early, right? With the game being on Saturday, I would imagine the first injury report would drop tomorrow. But Jaden Reed, all right. So the latest updates we have here, he suffered a right knee injury during the team's final possession in the fourth quarter, hobbling to the sideline while grabbing his knee after an incomplete pass and not returning to the game, albeit it was just a minute left in the game, right? No further details on severity, diagnostic tests, or recovery timeline has been reported yet, though Reed had only recently returned from a multi-month absence due to prior injuries with the broken collarbone in the foot. The Packers' first injury report of the week expected Tuesday. So we have no information whatsoever on Jaden Reed. It kind of looked to me, Tim, like he went down and landed on the kneecap. And you guys may see that a different way. I'm kind of remember everything's kind of a blur there too. The All-22 doesn't do a great job of showing you that. Obviously, it was the TV copy that they showed a replay of his knee hitting. It's one of those things, Tim, that it's like, okay, yeah, he just landed on his knee, maybe bruise it a little bit, but also with the bruising, if it's a bone bruise, Josh Jacobs' knee swelling up continuously, it's kind of a big deal. So I'm eager to see what's said about Reed. Another one of those players going into Saturday. If Christian Watson's banged up, right, Jaden Reed's banged up, you try to put them both out there, and one of, or God forbid, both hurt themselves further, now you're kind of screwed for any kind of playoff run you want to put together, So I'm eager to hear what happens with Jaden Reed here. Do you have any info on that by chance, man? Anything you?
No, I don't, but I do remember the play, and I was relieved that training staff didn't have to come out there and get him off the field. He kind of just hobbled himself off. So hopefully it's like you said, a contusion or a bruise, and he can work his way through it. But we said the same thing about Josh. To your point, Josh has been dealing with this for more than a month now, and has had to be on a snap count and missed a little time. So hopefully Bird's good to go. Again, another day-to-day thing, but like you said, man, if it means losing him down the stretch, hold him out too if he's not 100%, right?
Definitely. And Ray and Creed in the chat, I've got your all's chat mark. We'll hit that when we get to the playoff talk. Those are good questions. I'm just trying to stay organized here, so appreciate your all's questions on that. We'll try to hit that when we get there for sure. So, as J. Cole says, bruised knee. That's what it looks like, right? At least it looked like it on the surface there. So, again, we'll let you guys know if we get any updates on Jaden Reed in real time. So, next on the list here, Tim, it's like a grocery list here, man. This is unbelievable. Next, you got Evan Williams, all right? The latest we got on Evan Williams was he suffered a knee sprain during a non-contact play in the third quarter. Now, there might be some speculation there. I see a couple of links to websites that may have reported that, so maybe they have a source, maybe they don't. Do your own research there. If you guys have any information, fire it into the chat. But it says he is considered week to week and expected to miss 1 or 2 games, but avoided long-term or serious structural damage with a potential return before the end of the regular season. Head coach Matt LaFleur noted post-game that the injury doesn't appear serious in the long term, though the exact recovery timeline remains unclear and could range from 1 to 3 weeks as well. Williams is unlikely to play in Saturday's game against Chicago. So it sounds like probably 1 to 2, maybe 1 to 3 weeks for Evan Williams. I say, once again, put Zane Anderson out there. Let's try to get Evan healthy for those last 2 games of the season down the stretch there, man. Anything you want to add there? I
agree with you. Give me some big money Zane out there, or, when in doubt, Mr. himself in a pinch. You never know. But, yeah, if it's 1 to 2 weeks, again, same thing. Hold Evan out. As bad as I'd like to go undefeated in the division this year, you got to think about the playoff picture because, like you said, there's still a path for a wild card spot, even if we lose out. So you got to think about the postseason, and you got to think about being as healthy as you can be going into that postseason. And at this point, I'm not willing to take too many chances with our premier players and pieces on this defense and on this offense. So. I think if he's not good to go, hold him out. Zane Anderson, we think of him as a special teamer, but we know he can lower the boom out there and play a little safety himself. So I'm all for letting him get those snaps for sure.
I think he played 160 snaps last year, which is not a huge sample size, but it's not like 30 snaps. He graded out an 80. And that was one of the players that when you watched the tape and you looked at the PFF grade, it seemed to match. He seemed to play pretty good. and he was a scrappy player. Got an interception in one of his only games that he started, if I remember correctly, or maybe he came in as a replacement after Evan Williams got hurt last year. It might have been that, but I have a lot of faith in Zane. I don't think Zane will go out there and crap the bed, Yeah. So again, man, it sucks to have to say this, but you got to kind of look ahead and go, okay, what's more important? Going out there and trying to beat the Bears and risking getting all these guys. First of all, they're not going to be 100%. Then you're not going to get the best product on the field, right? And then you don't allow them to heal up for the Ravens game or for the Vikings game, and then the playoffs. It's kind of the worst of both worlds, if that makes sense. So
you do that, you're going to get your ass kicked in that.
That's right, Coach. That's right. All right, next, Nate Hobbs. It says latest updates on him. They left the game briefly in the second half, but returned for 2 more snaps. So I don't know if that was the only 2 snaps played after that. I can't really remember. With staff reporting, he's made a lot of progress, though his status of Saturday's game against the Chicago Bears remains unclear pending further evaluation. Obviously, he's talking about a lot of progress with the previous injuries. It sounds like, best of my knowledge, they expect him to practice this week. All right. So we'll find that out tomorrow. It might be like Jaden Reed. We look up and he doesn't participate, right? And that's been one of the big things for Nate Hobbs. Obviously, he's been banged up all year since he got to Green Bay. He's never really got a fair shake at getting a good run at where he fits into the defense and building some momentum. He came into camp, got hurt, tried to get healthy after camp, got hurt again, and then of course yesterday was in there and he got banged up. So yeah. That's the latest on Nate Hobbs. And then, of course, Josh Jacobs. I was a little concerned, Tim. I felt like he was dominant yesterday. When he was in the game, the catch he made in the end zone, the 40-yard touchdown run, the whole 9 yards, he looked good. But also when he would go to the sideline, when he would tap out and need a breather or whatever, or need to rest that knee, it kind of looked like he was walking gingerly off the field. But here is what the report says there. It says blah, blah, blah. He's listed as questionable due to that lingering right knee contusion. We talked about that. Limited in practice all week, right? It says Jacobs performed well, rushing for 75 yards on 18 carries, including that 40-yard touchdown, 17 receiving yards and another touchdown. So he had 92 total yards, if this is correct here. You guys, again, check the box score yourself. Post-game, he spoke to the media about the team's injuries, but did not indicate any worsening of his own condition. His status for Saturday's game against the Chicago Bears will be clarified in the upcoming injury report. So the fact that he met with the media, he didn't say, yeah, my knee's bothering me. I imagine they probably asked him to. I don't know. You'd have to go and comb through all of the media availability there at the locker. But sounds like I think Josh Jacobs will go. It'd probably be very similar to last week. Snap count, right, kind of limited. And Emmanuel Wilson, of course, should be in much better shape this week. Obviously, he battled an illness. That's why he looked a little off. And I just tip my cap to Emmanuel Wilson for just going out there and grinding it out, toughing it out for us, man. Because, again, we know he was sick as a dog all week long is what the reports were. So
I agree 100%. Same thing with Josh, right? Gritting through that knee. My money's on 100% possibility that both of these guys play on Saturday. I think you'd have to, handcuff them to the bed to get them to not be on the field on Saturday against the Bears. But again, snap count probably for Josh. And then, like you said, hopefully Emmanuel Wilson is, fully recovered from the illness. Big props to him for dealing with the altitude, dealing with the sickness, going out there, trying to play special teams, trying to run the football, trying to lay some blocks out there. You could just tell he was not 100% there physically. So hopefully that changes by Saturday. But I don't think Josh Jacobs misses this game, considering what's at stake down the stretch here for this team. I think he's going to try and go.
I think so too. So that is all the information we have on the injury updates as it sits right now. If you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. If you have some information we overlooked, if there's another player that was injured, let us know. And let us know how you feel about these players. Obviously Parsons looking to make a September return next year. Christian Watson, Zach Tom, Jaden Reed, Evan Williams, Nate Hobbs, Josh Jacobs, and anybody we missed. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you know when we go live in the future. All right, Tim, let's talk a little playoffs here, right? Playoffs? We're talking playoffs?
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
So, again, you come out of that game against Denver, and it's like the sky is falling, right? That second half was just like watching a train wreck in slow motion. It really was. And you probably think, okay, now what's the rest of the season hold here for us? when it comes to playoffs, this is crazy. Check this out. This is where we're sitting right now in terms of the call. It's either Kalshi or Kalshi Sports, right? The gambling service, what have you, right? NFC North playoff chances per Kalshi. The Packers still lead the way at 89% chance of making the playoffs. So people are going, hold up a minute. This was updated today at 10:46 a.m. If the Bears are in first place in the North, how do the Packers have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Bears? Because again,
felt the ass on Saturday night at Soldier Field. That's how.
Just saying, right? And obviously the remaining schedule, and I think that people still aren't completely sold on the Bears. And I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, right? But with that being said, I'm not saying that the Packers have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Bears. That's what they're saying here, okay? But I do know this. If the Packers lose this week and all the teams that they need to lose win, worst case scenario, i.e. worst case scenario, and that happens again next week, all the players you need to lose actually win, and you lose your ball game to Baltimore. If you win in Minnesota, you still make the playoffs as the number 7 seed, to the best of my knowledge. We walked through it yesterday, right? So it kind of lines up with the 89% Packers. So when you look at that on its surface, that's why I'm leaning more towards, hey, if we got to take an L in Chicago, get everybody healed up as much as possible and go on that run in week 17 and week 18. Jen Wright says here in the chat, I'm glad you cross-checked this. Thank you so much, Jen. Said 91% on other sides. So just to kind of show you, this is probably the lower number here. So, Tim, I know it doesn't feel like it coming out of that game yesterday, but what if, imagine this, let me paint you a positive scenario here. Micah Parsons is done. We know that. That's in the rearview mirror, right? What if Watson comes back against Baltimore and he's 100%? What if Zach Tom returns in the final week of the season and he's 100% against Minnesota? What if Jaden Reed returns against Baltimore? He's good to go, no injury there. He's 100%. We'll find out tomorrow. Evan Williams, he returns in week 18. He's 100%. Nate Hobbs returns, let's say, against Chicago, right? And Josh Jacobs is obviously, it sounds like he's good to go. The only piece that you're really going to be missing is Micah Parsons, right? As you go into the playoffs. Now, I did an extensive breakdown earlier today. People seem to think that without Micah Parsons, this defense is cheeks. Guys,
Incorrect.
We were one spot higher in scoring defense last year without Micah Parsons. Now, I'm not saying this defense is better without Micah Parsons. I'm simply saying you have to adjust how you play defense, right? With Micah Parsons, we did less simulated pressures. We did less fire zone blitzing, things like that. We just kind of line up rush against quarterback. So you're probably going to see Halfley dip into the playbook from last year, and you're going to see Edger and Cooper rushing a little bit more. You're going to see some exotic looks in that regard. So to just sit here and I seen somebody in the chat, and I don't want to call them out by name. I'm not here to argue with people, but I see somebody in the chat acting like the defense is just, oh my God, we're horrible. We're trashed. We're trashed without it. Guys, this defense is a great defense. It was a great defense with Micah Parsons. I think it still has the potential to be a great defense without him, at least a very good defense. So I'm not willing to write this defense off at the end of the day. And it sounds like most of the gambling sites, like Jen said, other sites have it at 91%. Kalshi has it at 89%. Tim, sounds like they're not willing to write them off either, man. Halfley, yeah, exactly. That's it. Too over this. Halfley didn't have Micah last year, and he was perfectly fine. Again, you want Micah Parsons. He's an elite player. But, Tim, this idea that the defense is just going to be garbage without him is just nonsense, man. Yeah,
it's terrible. You know, Micah's the player that tilts you over the hump, right? That gets you over the edge and makes you that much better. But, you know, this was a work in progress before we did the trade. And, you know, like 2-0 for this is saying, we looked damn good last year without Micah Parsons. And we all knew that's why we did the deal that we did, right? Goody pulled the trigger. Thank you, Jerry. We appreciate it. You know, a player like Micah Parsons is going to tilt the balance there. He's going to make your defense that much better, but it doesn't mean that he's the sole reason that we had a good defense. I mean, there's plenty of guys on that staff that attribute to that. And there are plenty of other players, both in the trenches, in the middle, and on the back end of the defense that make this a good team. So, and that's not a knock on Micah. We're not going to, you know, try to sweep that under the rug, what he brings to the table. But the idea that we're just dead in the water because we have no Micah Parsons is asinine. And we know what type of leader he is. I'm fully expect that once he recovers from the surgery and he's able to be around the team again, you're going to see Micah Parsons on that sideline. You're going to see him in the locker room. You're going to see him with the team being that leader that he is. So to think that with him not being on the field that, we're taking 10 or 20 steps backwards is crazy to me. That's an insult to everyone else that puts in the work every week with this team to go out there and play football. So are we a little bit behind the 8 ball without Micah? Absolutely. But I fully believe guys are going to step up in this defense. And to your point, Coach Hafley, Coach Covington, Coach Ansley, Coach Ogabasi, these guys are going to change the way they approach this. And, maybe there's some moves made schematically, and we're going to find the way to get the best out of the best that we have on the field down the stretch.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, a couple of the comments here. Joseph asked a question: did LVN make it through that game? To the best of my knowledge, he did not leave because of injury at any point. The snap count total here is showing LVN with 22 snaps. That was 32% of the defensive snaps. So in terms of edge, Rashawn Gary played 60% of the snaps. Micah Parsons played 59%. Enigbari played 57%. So you imagine Parsons now, he typically plays somewhere around 80% of the snaps, if I remember correctly, like 70, upper 70, lower 80 top number. You guys correct me on that if I'm wrong. So what you'll probably see is Enigbari and Lucas Van Ness splitting the snaps that Micah Parsons would have gotten, I would imagine. And you may also be getting back a couple other guys like Aaron Mosby played 2 snaps, right? However, once Brenton Cox Jr. is good to go, I think you'll see him fill in that void as well. What you'll see is more of the Carl Brooks. We got Carl Brooks back, right? So you're going to see more of the big boy defensive tackles in the nickel 4-2-5 in the middle, as opposed to more of those what some call NASCAR packages. Jeff Hafley calls it cheetah packages with three pass rushers, 3 edge rushers, and 1 defensive tackle. So you go back to the traditional like we did last year, and that's where you're getting into some of the coffee house looks, the double A-gap mug, and dropping those guys out. Not that we didn't do it this year, but we didn't do it near as much, it seems like. So hopefully that answered your question there, Joseph.
We talk about versatility with our defensive players, right? Really, all of our players being able to play more than one spot. Yeah. This situation, this time of year, we might get to see it on full display. You might get to see these guys really have to, stretch the best of their abilities to play in some spots that they're normally not comfortable in with the guys that we're losing right now.
Yeah. Andy Dubs with the super chat. Thank you so much, Andy. We appreciate you, bub. He says, can they run Joker with LVN? They can. Many people don't know this, but last year we were running a little Joker look with Rashawn Gary. Now, many people didn't like it, although I like the approach. If you let Rashawn Gary do what Micah was doing in that A-gap from the Joker spot and just push the pocket right back into the quarterback, that's what he's great at, is a bull rush. You do not see Rashawn Gary get stood up when he bull rushes. Typically, he's moving the pocket, he's moving the tackle. It's just some of the lateral moves, some of the speed rush, a lot of the speed rush moves that Micah Parsons has. Obviously, that's not Gary's game. So I think Gary can do it. I think LVN has the strength to do it. The question is, do you want to go that route? Because with Micah, it was that quick burst. When you give that look, you got to get in there quick. And he was good at dip and rip, and he would really use that speed to get into the backfield. So for me personally, I think you'll see less Joker looks, but yeah, I believe LVN could do that. Not as effective as Micah, obviously, but I think it could be both LVN and Gary that can do it. Hell, I think Enigbari could do it, although they like to use Enigbari in some of those 55 drop looks with the fire zone blitz. So I think you'll see more of Enigbari dropping underneath into hook curl and curl flat looks and bringing pressure from the other side with the simulated pressure, if that makes sense. So I think he can, though, Andy. Thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate you. Let's see here. One last one. Creed in the chat said, aside from Pittsburgh, who might be 500 in a few hours, they're kicking off right now in a second, 25 minutes away. The Bears have only defeated one team with a winning record thus far, being Philly. It's a great point to make, Creed. I try not to look at too much into that, and I know many fans do, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think many fans, they'll look at that and they'll go, okay, well, they haven't really beaten a good team. I look at more of how are they playing against any set opponent. Like last week against Cleveland, that's a really good defense. Now, the offense was cheeks, and the offense was the reason that Caleb got so many opportunities, right? Because the Cleveland's offense just couldn't move the ball. They struggled. I know Shador threw at least one interception, possibly two. He threw one in the end zone where it was really just kind of a fluke play too. One or two of those things go a different way. I think that game's a lot closer, but I kind of looked him at how the Bears are playing recently, and they're playing good football, man. Yeah, I can't deny that. I think they played the Packers pretty darn well, especially in the second half with that adjustment. So I try not to look too much of, okay, what are the teams they actually beat? Although it's impossible to not pay attention to it, Creed. I understand where you come from. I just look at it like, okay, how are they playing football right now? They're protecting the football. They're taking the ball away. That's essentially what it comes down to, Tim.
Like we always talk about, right? That 4-game saturation. I mean,
yes.
Hindsight's 2020. Nobody cares that we beat Detroit in week 1, right? We're not even thinking about that, right? You go back the last 4 games and you got to do the same thing with the Bears. And, annoying fan base or not, you got to acknowledge the fact that they're playing good football. And as little as I like Ben Johnson, clearly the guy's suited to be a head coach in this league. And you have to account for that. So I don't think you want to take a dismissive approach when it comes to the Bears at all. You got to look at the last, 4 or 5 games, and they've been playing damn good football. But still, so have we. Barring the injuries and the debacle that yesterday was, we've been playing really good football in the past 4 or 5 weeks. So it's going to be a hell of a game on Saturday night. Can't take anything for granted in this league at all.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for the playoff chances segment. So hopefully you guys got a little bit better idea of what's on the line here. Again, our back isn't against the wall when it comes to making the playoffs. However, it is against the wall for winning the North. You need to go out there and take care of business against Chicago if you want to win the NFC North. I just don't think we should do it at the detriment of putting guys out there too early that are battling all these injuries. Let's get them rested up and ready for the playoffs. I want to hear from you all in the comments. You're watching this video back later. Let me know what you think about our playoff chances. Do you think that's a legit number? Do you think it's a fake number? Maybe you think it's fake news. All right. Let us know in the comments what you think about it and how you feel about the Packers' ability to kind of patch this season together and make a playoff run. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit like, click the bell icon so you're notified anytime that we do go live. All right, Tim, let's shift gears. Let's talk PFF grades from the game yesterday. It kind of goes unnoticed sometimes. And I want to talk about the players that did play well here in this game. And when you look at the PFF grades from the game against Denver on the road there, some are saying one of the best games of the year. I would agree, just from an NFL standpoint. Josh Jacobs, man, 36 snaps on one freaking knee, 88.3 PFF grade. He had an 84.1 run grade, and it's in the passing game at 85.5. Obviously, he had 2 catches, one of which was that touchdown. Was a hell of a catch. Getting both feet in, contested catch. Josh Jacobs is that dude, Tim. You gotta tip your cap to him, man.
Dude, that was incredible. We'll have that forever in the highlight reel, man. Making a big boy wide receiver type of play. Equally as impressive just because it's a running back making that play. Way to protect the football. And, I think that's one of the things that gets kind of overshadowed in his game. We think about him as a rusher. He is dynamic as hell in the passing attack. And considering what we're dealing with injuries and everything, we might see more of that, down the stretch here.
Yeah, definitely. So not so cool in the chat says JJ was our best player. I think I agree with that, man. I do. Next on the list, Matthew Golden, Tim. This is good to see because, again, anytime Matthew Golden's been on the field, he's been banged up with the injuries and stuff. Anytime he's been on the field this year, I have never thought, I don't know about this one. This guy's a long way away. When he gets opportunities, he makes plays. He creates separation. He's got great hands. He's obviously got blazing speed. I think if Christian does miss against the Bears, you're going to see our boy Matthew Golden playing that speed Z spot for Scoot is kind of what I feel like. So
I agree 100%. I think that's the approach, right? If Scoot's not going to go, let MG take that role. Because you look at the cornerback room right now, we might need Bo to play some corner. We got Kamal Hadden in the mix as well, but I'd love to see MG get more targets. I mean, they were trying to get him the ball yesterday, which you saw him make a couple of really nice grabs in crunch time. So, yeah, I'm all for it, man. 82.1 grade. Yeah. The Golden Child is the real deal. It's a matter of time before we're going to have to really lean on him based on how this season is kind of shaping up right now.
Yeah, and another thing that won't make the box score is that pass interference that he got called, right? Yeah. And I'm amazed at how many people are saying that's not pass interference. Like, bro, the ball is in the air. Matthew Golden is turning to catch the ball, and the cornerback has his arm hooked. He's trying to catch it. Like, it's the definition, Tim, of a pass interference. Like, and you guys know I've been as critical of anybody of the officials, right? But boy, oh boy, I look at that play and I don't think you could find a better depiction of a pass interference, man.
I mean, if you want to get technical, outside 5 yards, you can't make contact. Yeah. So let alone grabbing a guy's arm and pinning it against his body while he's running a route. I mean, that's should be the easiest flag to throw, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. All right, next on the list, Darian Kennard. You know, it's funny, in the TV copy, I didn't focus on him too much watching the coaching tape back, but on the TV copy, I didn't really look up and go, Darian Kennard played great. I didn't. I kind of felt like he got bull rushed a couple times, but PFF gave him a 73.9, run blocking grade of 75.8. That's definitely his strength. A 68.9 pass blocking. This defense is much better than the Chicago defense we're about to face. So if you got to rest Zach Tom, and it sounds like 1 to 3 weeks, you probably will. Early, again, that's just early guesses on how long he may be out with no structural damage. I feel good about Darian Kennard filling in at right tackle there against the Bears. I don't know how good I feel about the Ravens. We haven't had a chance to really look ahead at their defense, but I like Darian Kennard. I just don't think he played that well in this game. I don't know if you disagree, but 73.9 on 41 snaps, man. You got to feel pretty good about it. And Darian Kennard on the year now, 78.2, Tim. I mean, my goodness, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it says something that Kennard was the move. They didn't, play musical chairs and get Jordan Morgan out there, plug and play. And I think Kennard held up well, but I'm with you. I don't think he jumped off the screen as, having some incredible game or anything. But, when it comes to pass pro, I think he was our highest rated offensive lineman, there down the stretch since he had to take over. We had running backs that had higher pass pro grades than offensive linemen. So I think Kennard stands out for that fact. And who knows, maybe if he has to go against Chicago and, gets a start and another week under his belt, he continues to build on the really good year he's had. But I'm with you, Clay. I didn't see anything that was, super crazy. I've only been through the tape one time though. So we'll see how it goes if we watch the all 22 again, getting ready to do chalk talk here.
Yeah, definitely. Next on the list, Chris Brooks, man, 17 snaps, 72.2. Surprise, surprise. Pass blocking grade 81.2. He had a nice little run too there on one play. I remember specifically. He looked all right, man. So Chris Brooks continues to play solid football. Another great pickup by Goody. Just kind of finding him on the waiver wire last year, or on the practice squad, I should say, signing him for Miami. And it's been, I think it was last year that we made that signing, maybe the year before, but he's been a solid player, solid contributor. Jordan Love here, 69.1. Again, Jordan Love in the first half, guys, he was dominant. It was unbelievable. You talk about the tale of two halves. And then, of course, the injuries start to trickle in. You had Zach Tom go down, and now all of a sudden Christian Watson's out of the game, and the game plan completely flips. Things got a little bit rough there, but 69.1 still a decent game for Jordan. The interceptions, let's talk the interceptions. With mistakes in games, typically coaches, and Coach Lynn in the chat, you correct me if I'm wrong here, Coach, and maybe different coaching staffs do it differently. You typically grade three things. You grade assignment, execution, and effort, right? And that's kind of how they grade how did you understand your assignment, right? Did you execute the play? And how was your effort? That's typically how coaches will grade. When you look at those two interceptions, let's grade that out for Jordan, okay? When you look at him throwing to Christian Watson, that's a single coverage, 50-50 ball. There you go. Coach Lynn says, yep, that's how we grade. So when you throw that 50-50 ball, I love the decision. The decision there, it's a one-on-one situation. You're giving your guy an opportunity to go make a play. So the decision there, right, the assignment, you give him a +2. Execution, you underthrew him a little bit. So, I don't know if you give him a -2 there, Tim, but you definitely wouldn't give him a +2. Maybe you give him a 0. Maybe you give him a -1, right? Maybe you break it down a little bit deeper than that. But in terms of effort, stepping up and taking a shot in the chest, I think you give him a +2 on the effort there too. I'm talking about Jordan Love specifically. Now, if you flip the script and you talk about Christian Watson on that play, right, his assignment, he ran the route, he had his guy beat, so you think good execution. Now, at the catch point, not great execution. The ball was underthrown, but you'd like to see him make a better adjustment there. So assignment-wise, I give him a +2. Execution, probably a 0. And people hear 0, they that's no, it's just a neutral grade, right? +2.
Yeah.
Basically
not a negative, not a positive, right?
Right, exactly. You kind of did what you were supposed to do. You didn't go above and beyond, but you didn't also crap the bed there, right? And then, of course, effort. I mean, my God, the dude had to go to the hospital after the game because the effort trying to lay out there and make a grab, right? So that's kind of how I see that.
And one thing we're not accounting for either is the Patrick Surtain factor, right? Arguably the best corner in the NFL. So
was he the defensive player of the year last year? Am I thinking right? I think I read that somewhere that he was the defensive player of the year. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. What did Patrick Surtain win the AFC Defensive Player of the Year award? There was some kind of big award. I seen him holding the award or whatever. Yeah, there you go.
Top 5 corner in the NFL, hands down, though.
He was actually he was voted the best defensive player last year. It was a hell of a play. Now, Denver Bronco fans are saying, "Oh no, he had it the whole way. He baited him." Okay, I got you. The ball was still underthrown. If Jordan does put it out in front of Christian, Patrick Surtain is not running down Christian Watson if he's in stride catching that ball, right? So again, hindsight's 2020. So
yeah, and if it's overthrown, it's not picked, it's an incomplete pass. I totally understand that for sure.
Yeah, but the point here is after that game, Tim, Jordan Love's still grading out 89.3 on the season. So I don't look at the way Jordan played yesterday. There's some people are like, "Oh, he's cheating." I'm like, what are we talking about, guys? He was having a career game in the first half before all the injuries happened. And if you look at that as an excuse, then hey, we can just agree to disagree. Romeo Dobbs, steady Eddie, 68.5 on the season, man. 67 on the season. So again, not great, not bad. Just doing his job, in my opinion. 68.5. Luke Musgrave, 65.
I just caught the ball.
65.5 for Luke Musgrave. So now look at the last 4 weeks for Luke Musgrave. 74, 66, 77, 65. On the year of 57. But the last 4 weeks, man, playing pretty good football, playing pretty good football, in my opinion. So I'm excited to see Musgrave continue to build off of that. And listen, the catch he made, some think he had to lay out and make that grab. I feel like if he judges the ball a little bit better, he probably jumps, catches it, and keeps running, right? But again, that's kind of Musgrave's game. He typically catches the ball, goes to the ground. It is what it is, right?
We did see him run through an MFer's face once, though. At least one of those. That made me feel good to see him lower that shoulder a little bit. Yeah,
I agree, Tim. I seen that and I went, hold up, all right, let's go. Now listen, it didn't look like Tucker Kraft blasting anybody in the face.
Oh God, no.
But I'm with you. He did it, right? And that's a step in the right direction. So
absolutely.
Jaden Reed, 43 snaps, 65.3. Zach Tom, 64.4, only 27 snaps. Christian Watson graded out a 61.3 in that game. So they were a little bit harder on him than maybe most. So still on the season, though, Christian Watson, 85.4 PFF grade. So, in terms of the bad grades here, Emmanuel Wilson, you could see it, Tim. He had a bad game. Yeah. It was like his vision was limited. That dude was sicker than a dog out there trying to put it together. So I give Emmanuel Wilson a complete pass, man. The fact that he was able to suit it up and go out there sick like that, I tip my cap. I threw a tweet out earlier. I want to know – I've seen some of the tweets that fans were throwing his way. And I just wanted him to know, but there's a portion of the fan base, and it got a lot of interaction. The fans that actually knew behind the scenes Emmanuel Wilson was playing sick like that, they came swooping in and said, with him tagged in the tweet too, man, thanks for giving it a go. Thanks for putting it out there on the line. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Gritty performance from him. And, no turnovers. It could have been worse, right? You're playing with an illness. You got altitude. You're not 100% physically. Like you said, Clay, I mean, ball carrier vision. I mean, if you're congested and, it's probably hard to see at all. And you can't knock him for that, man. If anything, you got to praise him for suiting up and making a go of it for sure. Yeah. Especially considering beyond Chris Brooks, what are we looking at in that running back room, right? We have Pierre Strong on the practice squad and, Marshawn Lloyd obviously not able to see the field. So when it's all hands on deck, you got to suck it up and play, right?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, flu game, let's go.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll hit here with the Josh Wiley stuff, Tim, I didn't realize he only played 2 snaps when he got the injury. That is something that changes the game plan entirely. I mean, we've seen how we've utilized him in the run blocking game, in the league game, all that, right? The fact that we only got 2 snaps at him before he got hurt, that explains too. Like it almost makes you wonder, like, how in the hell did we have the first half that we did? I'm not saying Josh Wiley is the key to the Packers' offensive success, but I am saying that he's played a big role, and he's hands down. I think he's the best tight end out there without Tucker Kraft. I think he's better than Musgrave. That's just my personal opinion. At least it looks like it on the tape. So that's something I didn't want to go unnoticed. It just kind of clicked with me. And the fact that you had John Fitzpatrick had to play 46 snaps, and we know Wiley would have gotten a big chunk, if not the majority of those snaps, that played a big role in this game as well. So get Wiley back, maybe not this week, but next week, and you're feeling a lot better about the offense as well. So is there anything else you want to hear here in terms of the offensive PFF grades before we shift gears to defense, man?
Just piggybacking off the tight end conversation, I think you're right. I mean, Fitzpatrick's playing a lot of special teams reps as well. And then he's, out there running with the ones on offense. You're down Josh Wiley. That's huge, So we're, I don't want to say we're, alarmingly thin at tight end, but we're a little thin there in the tight end room right now. But I think we can, get by 1 week, and then hopefully Wiley clears that protocol and he's back in the fold, because I agree with you, Clay. I think, other than Tuck Norris, he's the best guy we got smoking in that tight end room right now, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Joseph in the chat said Matt would assign a lot of value to Wiley. If you're saying that Matt sees him valuable, I would agree with that. Again, I always say, if you want to know what's important to people, check their I always want to say playbook, check their checkbook and look at their calendar, right? And when you look at that in terms of football, it's like, okay, who's getting playing time, right? And who's getting opportunities, who's getting targets, that type of thing. I think that Matt puts Wiley in there in key situations and makes sure that he's a vital part, whether it's a run blocking aspect or catching a touchdown, that we seen early on when Wiley took the field after Tucker Kraft left with the season-ending ACL. I agree with what you're saying there, Joseph. So, all right, let's switch gears to defense, Tim. Let's talk about the defensive grades here. And listen, this defense got cooked yesterday. There's no two ways about it. You gave up 34 points. I know you lost Mike a little later in the game, but that second half adjustment, really the first half wasn't horrible for the Broncos offense, but that second half adjustment, boy, was Sean Payton in his freaking bag. Nonetheless, here are the defensive grades from the game. This doesn't surprise me at all. Xavier McKinney playing that post safety position and covering the entire field. That looked a lot like last year, in my opinion. So I think you're going to get back to seeing some more of that middle field deep looks there with Xavier McKinney. 91.9 was his grade. Micah Parsons played 40 snaps. 90.8 was his grade. Nate Hobbs, 10 snaps, Tim, 83.3. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know he's played minimal snaps. But since he's come back here in week 14, 66.6, and then this week at 83.3, 10 snaps both games. If Nate Hobbs is healthy, you feel like he's playing some of his best football. And it's not just the PFF grades that suggest that. When you turn on tape, he does look like, okay, he looks like he's as healthy as he's been all year. Of course, now you have the injury setback possibly.
Yeah, another setback, right? We've been there before with Hobbs, and I agree with you, man. When he's healthy, dude, he's an asset to this secondary. We just got to get him to play more than 10 or 20 snaps a game, I think, and hopefully it's nothing serious with his injury too. Obviously he tweaked something. I'm assuming it's day to day with him, but we're gonna need him down the stretch. I like him, man. He's got that dog mentality, man. That dog in him, just like Keyshawn and Valentine and a lot of guys in this secondary, man. They're not going to take any BS from anyone. But hey, you can't make the club in the tub. And like I said, we just need to get more snaps out of him.
Yeah, definitely. Rashawn Gary, I don't think it's any surprise that as soon as Micah Parsons goes out of the game, all of a sudden you see his PFF grade rise a little bit. Here's what I think you're going to see with Rashawn Gary. Remember early in the season, we had Gary actually, I think it was through 4 weeks, Gary was leading the league in sacks with 7.5. And then that tapered off. Well, what happened in the first 4 weeks of the season? You were trying to ramp Micah Parsons up, get him acclimated to the defense. He missed training camp, and you're kind of easing him in. You're trying to ramp him up, right? And then all of a sudden, it kind of flips. You got Gary playing more conservative, helping cover the run, setting the edge, all those things, and you started to turn Micah Parsons loose. Don't be surprised if you see Gary on the second half of the season or down the stretch here in the last 3 games of the season, him continue to grade out better. And don't be surprised if he's in the quarterback's face a little bit more. I seen him around the ball a lot yesterday. I thought this PFF grade kind of matched with what I seen there. 74.8 Pass rush grade was only a 60.9, tackle grade 72, run defense grade 70. Made a great play running the running back down from behind on that one run stop. And then, of course, there were several times that you've seen Bo Nix having to run away from 52 where he was getting pressure. So I feel like Gary, you're going to see him amp up a little bit. Not that he's been holding back. I think it's just the way the scheme was designed with Micah out. Now you're probably going to see him showcase a little bit more getting after the quarterback. Number 5, Edgerrin Cooper, a 73.0 on the day. No surprise there. Edgerrin Cooper having a great year, just like last year. So those top 5 there, Tim, again, quick recap. McKinney, Parsons, Hobbs, Gary, Cooper. Anything you want to say about those 5 players, man?
Yeah, I agree with you about Rashawn, man. I think you're going to see him in that well north of 40 snaps per game now, obviously with Micah going down. And I think the more he plays, the more of an impact he's going to have. And, Rashawn's been a leader, and he's going to continue to be a leader. And I think you're right. I think, when all the chips are down, your back's against the wall here. You got guys that are hurt. If anybody's going to step up in this D-line room, it's going to be Rashawn Gary. Looking forward to seeing him down the stretch.
Yeah. And again, he said it best, man. Let's go out there and win for Micah, right? Let's go win for him. So love that attitude. Carrington Valentine, 65.8. Kingsley Nigbori, 65.5. Steady grades there. Tyron Hopper, Christian Welch only played 2 snaps each. Aaron Mosby with 2 snaps himself. Jordan Riley at 55. On defense, according to PFF, they think Javon Bullard struggled with a 29 coverage grade. We got to go back and watch the All-22 and really dive in to look at some of the assignments, things like that. Quay Walker, I was pretty vocal about in our chat, Tim. I felt like he had a bad game. PFF says a 41.1. Of course, Quay could have a great game in my eyes. It seems like PFF always grades him low, but I do feel like Quay had a rough game yesterday. Isaiah McDuffie, according to PFF, 44.3. And then, again, the other stack backer, of course, was our boy Edgerrin Cooper with a 73. So, anything else you want to hit in terms of the defensive grades there, man? Anything kind of stick out to you at all there?
Yeah, looking at Bullard, he, kind of an off day for Javon, but still a 76-1 tackle grade, right? He's still a thumper. And hey, let's all remember, these guys are human beings. Not everyone's going to be perfect every day. You're gonna have bad games. Sometimes you're gonna have games where you and everybody around you is playing bad. It does happen. It's not an excuse. It's just, it is what it is. It's not indicative of, your caliber as a player. If anything, we're going to keep an eye on these guys and see how they respond against Chicago on Saturday night. And, if I know these guys any way I think I do, I believe that guys like Bullard, guys like Keyshawn are going to step up, and they're going to have a better game than they had yesterday for sure.
Yeah. And again, with Bullard, he had a bad game yesterday. I agree with – I don't know if the grade should be that low, but I didn't look at every one of his individual snaps, ISO cam, and go, here's what I grade him. But I felt like he was off yesterday. But here's the reality of Bullard, guys. That was the first bad game he's had since, I would say, week 4. His PFF grade starting in week 6, 71, 73, 69, 64, 66, 72, 68, 71, 75. Bad game? Let's reset, go out there and kick the Bears' ass, and let Bullard start to create some more momentum going into the playoffs. Huge step forward this year for Javon Bullard. Just a bad little hiccup there. And again, on the season, a 63.8 now. So starting to really turn it on, letting him play that slot position. And yesterday he did have 32 snaps, which was it's kind of looking at it, probably middle of the road. No, it was probably some of the least amount of snaps he's had this year. Against Chicago, only 26 snaps, but they probably played more 12 than Denver did. So, yeah. All right. So there you go, guys. There are your defensive PFF grades. If you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments how you feel about those grades. Is there any you agree with, disagree with? Is there a player that you felt like they played a little bit better than maybe PFF had given them credit for? Let us know in the comments what you think about this game. Also, make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you know when we go live anytime here in the future. Tim, you got anything else you want to hit, man? I think that's a good spot to kind of wrap up there. Everybody in the live chat, hit that like button for us. Smash it real quick. Spin those laces. Let me know if it's a soccer ball so I can get pissed off about it. Tim, you have the floor, sir. Anything else?
No, just keep your head up, Packer fans. Don't be negative. It's real easy to be negative right now. It seems like the sky is falling. It's a team game for a reason, right? You never know who's going to step up. It ain't over till it's over. And, all you the season's over portion of the fan base, I look forward to not having to hear your takes. I'm assuming you're not going to watch any more Packer football this year because you believe the season's over. So I look forward to y'all shutting the hell up and, not bothering me with your bad football takes. For the rest of us that are fans, it ain't over till it's over. And I'm looking forward to seeing this team finish out the year. And, it starts Saturday night with belt to ass in Chi-Town. That's all I got to say. Go, Pack, go.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. You got to get healthy and create some momentum going in the playoffs, and you never know what could happen here, man. I know this. We will be here every step of the way. Win, lose, or draw. We'll be here talking Packers daily. We'll be talking about the positives, talking about the negatives, and talking about the future. I just think it would be absolutely awesome if you go down there with a bunch of injured players sitting out and you somehow beat the Chicago Bears to sweep them. Man, oh man, would that be fun. The Packers currently are favorites going into Chicago, which is wild to think about. Maybe that'll change with the injury information tomorrow. To the best of my knowledge, factored into that point spread is the Micah Parsons injury already. But I think it will be interesting to kind of see how everything shakes out in terms of that when we get a little bit closer to the game week. I was trying to just take a quick gander and see if anything changed according to PFF with the point spread here. You got to kind of go ahead and jump through some hoops, go to week 16. I want to give you guys the latest information that we can. So with the Packers and Chicago, the Packers are still 1.5-point favorites as it sits right now. And of course, the line hasn't had a chance to move yet. That's what the market says. Okay. That's what the market is saying right now, to the best of my knowledge. And we'll see what PFF has it at a little bit later in the week. So that's it, guys. Appreciate everybody hanging out. I know we went live several times today. Hopefully we brung you the breaking news in real time as best we could and just kind of laid it out when the news broke and then got in there and had a little conversation about it. So I just want to say this, man. After a tough game like that with all the injuries, it's easy to go, man, I don't want to listen or watch anything Packers all week long. I get that. I understand. The fact that we had so many people watching the live stream earlier, we had, I can't remember how many it was. It was well over 1,000 watching earlier today. And obviously we got a bunch of people in here watching right now. You guys are the real MVPs. We really, really appreciate everybody jumping in here and talking ball on such a tough day. And I love the fact that we're pulling away a little bit. We're distancing ourselves from the other people who they open up the phone lines and they, let us know what you don't like about the Packers right now. And they just feed off that negative energy. We're in here going, all right, man, what positive do we have to cling on? What can we build off of? Okay, what does this game plan look like going into Chicago, the whole 9 yards? If I have time, I'm going to put together Chalk Talk because I would like to dive into some of the negative plays in the second half and kind of see what happened. Got to go to Kentucky tomorrow. So I'm going to try to rush back here and get you guys a live stream as quick as possible. We may have to hold Chalk Talk till Wednesday, and then we'll just kind of do everything on the fly because we got a ball game coming up Saturday. I'm excited about it. So everybody, loving the chat too. This has kind of become the you were going to. I'm sorry. There you go. It's funny. Two people said it. Chester said this is a group therapy session. Not so cool. This is therapy. I agree. Right. And Coach Lynn said it is, man. It's toxic and embarrassing out there. And again, that's why you just got to hit mute, block, group up with the people that you're like-minded with there, and move forward talking about the stuff that actually matters. So,
like Too Old for This said, in the words of Michael Scott, I'm going to watch Packers stuff even harder.
Now. That's right. Did he say I'm going to date your mom even harder now? Yeah. not so cool, or not the Too Over This, but Michael Scott said that. So, all right, guys, we're out. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you tomorrow. Everybody hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon. This is PTA. My name's Clayton. Hey, listen. When bad things happen, I don't know why I used the stripper voice from The Office. Remember she was saying, what was it she said when she gave Michael advice? Words hurt. Well, I can't remember. Too old for this. I know he knows this in the chat. But when you have a bad day, right, what I typically do is try to look at somebody and go, how can I make their day a little bit better? How can I help somebody today? How can I encourage someone? That's the best way to get out of that bad mood because it sucked. It sucked yesterday, right? I'm waiting for Too Old for This to give me that secrets. Wasn't that what it was?
No fun. Secrets hurt someone.
That's it. Yeah. And I think Michael went, yeah. Like it was philosophical for him, right? So, yeah. All right. Chet says you guys are killing it. Thanks, boys. And Coach Land kind comment in there too, man. Thank y'all so much. There it is. Yep. I knew you had it. Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. You got it, Tim. I appreciate you, Bates. You're the man, buddy. You're the man. Too Old for This said, I'm sorry I was making tea. What kind of tea you making over, boy? You putting devil's lettuce in that tea? Huh? All right, we'll leave it alone there. Tim, appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me, Clay.
All
Go
right,
Pack,
man.
go, baby. We ain't dead yet. Let's go.
That's right, baby. About to pull an Undertaker and rise from the grave. We'll see y'all.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.